Hi guys, I survived my first week of challenge, and this week I'm doing my second video challenging myself of overcoming low self-confidence. And it was really breathtaking and really hard and very nervous. I was really nervous to upload those videos last week. So if you guys have never watched my first two videos, please go ahead and watch them before you watch this one, because those two videos explain the reason I'm doing this. And today I'm here to talk about my foster to adoption journey part 2. So this video is based on my three kids that I adopted. I received a call from placement, and the call was about two girls. And at the time when I received that call, I didn't have enough space to accept both kids. So I asked them if they could give me like a waiver for one, because I'm gonna have space for only one. So the person went ahead and tried to get the waiver for me to get the both kids. And I realized I was there waiting like a couple hours. I haven't heard back from the person. And then I called and I found out that the waiver was denied. I was really upset because I really want these two girls to play with my other child that I have here. And those two girls are in the age group that I was looking for. And I heard those kids were like pre-adoptive kids and they're up for adoption. So I was really excited, to get those two girls. So I was really mad. So I called my first child caseworker. Oh yes, we built up our relation. We did build up our new relationship. So yeah, so we worked together pretty well after the certain outcomes when we just met. So anyway, I called in and I said, "Hey, can you believe these people denied me the waiver for these kids? These two girls are the girls that I'm looking for in my age group, the age group I'm looking to adopt." He said, "Miss Walker, don't worry yourself. What is yours will be yours." And I said, "Okay, if it's so, that is it." I just said, "What is mine will be mine." So anyways, I went along, forgot about all these things, but I was really torn up inside because I really needed those grants. Like, why would they deny me the waiver? So anyways, 2 days afterward, I received a phone call again from placement saying that they have, if I still needed two girls. I said, yes, of course I need those two girls. They said, well, the two girls have two brothers. And I'm like, and they said, well, it's a sibling group of four, and if I'm willing to adopt that sibling group. And I said, yes, I will adopt them. So they said, okay, it's going to be a transition. And they're going to send the two boys first to transit, to fit in. And then they will have the girls come and visit. And then the girls will come afterwards. So we received the boys in August, and the boys were dropped off by the caseworker like 11 o'clock that night. And the caseworker did an interview, like asking me like a lot of questions. And I was like, why is he asking me so many questions? I've been through so many kids and I never been asked so many questions. The caseworker was actually interviewing me to see, if I'm fit for these kids. And, he explained to me, like, I don't know if placement tell you this, but, these kids have a lot of issues going on. And the reason I'm doing this interview to make you aware of the situation. I was like really surprised that night. I was like, oh my God, that's a lot to take in. And I'm going to take all four of these kids. I'm like, oh my God. So anyways, the next day, the two boys woke up and they were eating their breakfast, and the older one said to the younger one, "Come, eat up, eat up. We gotta pack our bag because it's time to go to another home." It was really sad when I heard that child said that, because this home would be the fourth or the fifth home for them, because they before they came in my home, they were supposed to be adopted by someone, but due to circumstances beyond that parent foster parent control, she had to give them back to the system. So they were actually ready to settle down, and they were moved and put back in the system, and they like went to like one or two home before they get to me that day. And it was really sad because it's just like, come on, eat up, we're gonna move to another home. And I intervened immediately and like, hey, you guys not going nowhere, you guys gonna stay here. You see outside, you guys gonna go outside and play. You guys gonna do stuff. I'm gonna get you all a tablet for your birthday and so on. So I'm gonna do a lot of stuff for you guys. The older one like, you only saying that, you ain't gonna do nothing. Then and there I realized that this child have a trust issue, and he don't believe that I'm gonna help him. And it was really sad because I'm like, I'm really touched. I don't know what to do or say. So what I did, I took them the same day to the store and get them their tablet and see. I said, see, I got you a tablet. You trust me now? So, oh yeah. So anyways, he wasn't even excited to play with the tablet. The point is that he wanted to see if I was gonna get him the tablet. So things were okay for the first 2 weeks. Then I realized that for the first 2 weeks they always said that these kids are on vacation, and it's like after the first 2 weeks everything was so smooth, no problem, they do what they were told. And after, for some reason, I don't know, I guess they get triggered, they trauma trigger. The older one start, like when you talk to him, he be start running towards the door, try to run out of the house. And I have to be like, I have to change the locks off my door. So he only have the handle to hold on to now. So I have to put like a deadbolt on my door so that he don't have a handle and take the key out. I have to put on another deadbolt on my laundry room, and so that he can't go nowhere. Because once you talk to him, he started to get upset. So the younger child, I think the younger brother seen all of that happening and um started to misbehave as well, because the older brother started using profanities, and the younger brother just started using profanities like crazy. And there are like a point where when I get this child, when I get a older brother in school, the first day he was like ready to jump the fence. And I'm like, oh my God, the school called me, and I'm like, oh my God, it is so much already. Am I doing the right thing? So anyways, the smaller brother was like very hyperactive, and he he was really, he would like throw stuff when you talk to him. Like for instance, he said that he wants something, and I would say, no, you can't get it. He said, okay, if you don't give it to me, I'm gonna throw this, I'm gonna break your wall, I'm gonna throw stuff all over the place. And I said, no, you're not getting it. He like, okay, fine. And then he started to throw stuff, he started kick the wall, he started to jump on the couch and everything. And I whenever I try to like hold him, because during this process he can actually hurt himself as well. And when I try to hold him, he will kick me, hit me, spit on me, um, and he will like, I want to punch you in your face, I'm gonna punch you in your stomach. I'm gonna punch you. And behind those words, they're like profanities follow. So I was required to take them to court. And while we're coming back from court, one of the younger child had a toy, and he wanted a toy, and the younger child didn't want to give it to him. So he decided that he want that toy, and I'm like, no, you're not getting that toy. So he went out, he started like trying to want to hit that child, and I'm like, no, you can't hit that child, and I'm like, I hold him. That child started karate me, like he karate me on the bus right back home. He won't stop. He spit at me on the bus. People were like looking at me, just staring at me. This child just hitting me, kicking me, spitting at me. When I hold his hand, he like spit in my face. He spit all over me, and I I just have to block out whatever, the looks on the people's face on the bus, the people face on the bus, and, just say, hey, this is a situation. I know what I signed up for. These kids are not normal, these kids are trauma, and this child is very young. He was like 4 years old, and he don't know how to deal with everything that he's going through. So, he kicked me, he hit me, and even when we got home, he was so persistent. He wanna try get that toy same way, and I try to like take that toy, like trying to prevent him from not getting that toy. That I don't know if you guys watch Power Ranger, but that child gave me some Power Ranger kick and hit. I had to be like blacking him like this, and I have to keep doing this like for minutes. For I think it's like this. Keep doing this, and I have to be like doing this to block him from kicking me. At one point, my hand get really tired, and I did get one of those punch in my stomach. So it's as I mentioned in my first video, fostering is a bitter sweet thing. So, anyways, um, so this behavior continued like for the longest while. It enabled me to get anything done in the house. So anyways, that occurred those, so for the month of August to early September. So I got the girls in late September. So now, yes, I have 5 kids. So the 5 kids were like 1 2 year old, a 2 3 years old, a 4 year old, and a 5 year old. And like, oh my God, how am I gonna manage? And I already make a promise, I'm gonna help these kids. And I already promised the caseworker, because he said to me, are you sure you can do it? Because if you can't do it, just let me know, so I don't really give you these kids. And I'm like, no, I can do it. I can do it. So when these kids get home in the evening, like I had to be cleaning like 3 poo, and I'm like, are these kids talking to each other let poo in the evening? When these kids came home in the evening, the 2 year old and the 2 3 years old poo, I had to be like, next, clean that one bottom, next, clean that one bottom, next, clean that one bottom, then getting them ready for dinner. So it's like a routine for me to like cleaning poo every evening when these kids came home. So during the process now, the I remember when I received a call from placement, they're saying that the 3 year old girl, she threw a lot of tantrum. And so before the child came in my home, I went and Google, and I Google what caused a child to do show a tantrum. And um, one point I take away from it is that the they throw tantrum because they don't understand what has been relate to them. And so when you tell them to do something and they do the opposite, and you get really upset at them, that's when they start to throw a tantrum. But for the 4 year old, I didn't know what caused his trigger. So, and I know he's hyperactive, is very defiant, he believed like is his way or no way. So he would like, listen, man, I want this and this is what I want, and I get what I want. So when you tell him not to do something, he do it for spite, and then he just laugh. He like will jump on the bed, and I do not jump on the bed. He jump on the bed and just laugh. Then he run off the bed and jump on the couch, and he just laugh. And I was like, remember, I have 5 kids in my home at that time. So, and at the same time, with the older brother, I had to be getting phone calls from school, going to school, pick up the brother before lunch, before school over because get himself in trouble, then come back home, waiting on the other 4 kids to come from school. My husband normally do the pick up and drop off, and from school to give them a shower and get them ready for dinner and bed. It was like, it was crazy. That's all I can say. It was really crazy. And sometime in October, the caseworker requested, asked me to take to the older child to see a psychologist, and I said okay. So I took the child to FRC. Oh yes, my case was from FRC, and my caseworker is a really awesome caseworker. And I took the child to FRC, and during the process, he did the evaluation and everything. So I was sitting there, and I said to the caseworker, "Hey, I'm worried about the 4-year-old child, because I realized that he can't even make a circle, and I would. Is it possible for you to get him a psychology evaluation too?" And he said, "Yes, let me check into it. I'll work on it." That's the thing with that caseworker. He never said no. He said, "Yes, I will check into it and work on it." Because I'm really worried about his education. Because at first, I didn't like the idea of putting a child on medication. But, at one point, I spoke to the gala, and we were having like an open conversation. It wasn't anything pertaining to the kid. And I was like, "I don't believe in medication," and so on. And she'd be like, "Well, Trish, to be honest, if a person gonna be better in life on medication, why not give it to them?" And I'm like, you make sense, because a lot of people out there, they function because of their medication. They're more focused. So when we did the evaluation, we learned that this child was ADHD, and he has some learning difficulties because he's unable to focus. So anyways, that's for that 4-year-old child. So the two girls now, my two girls, I always keep wondering what's going on with them, because I'm a person like this. I like to evaluate my kids, and the thing is that these kids, I keep like looking at them, trying to read them up, trying to wonder what's going on with them. My 3-year-old girl, she, I realize whenever I talk with her, she like doing the opposite. And I mean, when I said the opposite, I said the way opposite. And the 2-year-old girl, she wasn't able to communicate at all. Only thing, she don't even know how to ask for a meal or anything like that. So you have to like check whenever when it's time for her to get her meal. And when I received the school girls, they were like, you can see that they went through something. And the 2-year-old was always like this. I don't know why she was always shaking like that, but I always look at it and like, why she always shake like that? So she always shake like this, and I'm like, I don't like how she's shaking like that, and she's like this. She shake like that at times. So, and I realized whenever she making any noise, she talk like she make a noise like she make it really loud, and I'm like, this there's something wrong with this child here. It's because growing up in Jamaica, if you talk too loud, we say you're deaf or something. So I was using that to say, evaluate that child, because as I mentioned before, I evaluate all my kids that come in the house. I look right into them, because remember, these kids are with you 24/7. If they're not at school, they're in your face at all times. So it's really important to look, trying to find the little things. It doesn't matter how small it is, look into it. And that's what I did. So I realized that when I talked to my 3-year-old girl, she do the way opposite, and I'm like, there's something wrong with this child. I'm like, why is it that she's not comprehending? And I'm like, okay. So I stood on one side of her ears, and I said, go and do that. And she did the opposite of what I said. So I went on the other side, and I said, go and do that. She went and did what she heard. I, what she heard what I said. And I say, oh, that's why they couldn't get her to potty train, because she wasn't understanding what they're telling her. And that's why she was throwing tantrum. The next thing is that she couldn't pronounce no words. Like, you say banana, she say anana. And I'm like, why is it like that? So everything, I was like so curious of everything going on with these kids. And that was like, I got the girls, I got the boys in August, and I got the girls in September, and in October I start observing all these things that's going on with these kids. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try something with my 3-year-old girl. So one day I started, like, I had the potty in her room, so I started to do this. No poo-poo diaper, no poo-poo diaper, poo-poo in potty, poo-poo in potty. And she said, no poo-poo diaper, mommy? I said, yes, no poo-poo diaper, poo-poo in potty, poo-poo in potty, poo-poo in potty, mommy? I said, yes. And I keep doing that. So, like, whenever I'm talking to her, take off your clothes, take off your clothes. So now she start understanding, so she don't get upset or at anything, she don't get upset anymore. And so I have to keep doing this, using my head, no, yes, and gesture to her, gesture. And so while all that been going on, I also observed with my 4-year-old child, the boy. And I realized when he was writing, his hand was shaking as well. And I'm like, why are they shaking so much? Is it from the trauma? So then and there, and since the 4-year-old actually diagnosed with ADHD, I'm like, I'm gonna take a deeper look into this. But I'm like, but I took them to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician said, oh, they're all healthy, they're just acting normal for their age. And I'm like, no, there's something wrong with this child, these kids, and I need to get to the bottom of it. So I took them back to the pediatrician. The pediatrician like, but they're healthy. Why you want to take them to the neurologist? And I'm like, please, just write the prescription, write the referral, because I think there's something wrong with them. I really want to check out what's going on, because I think they have developmentally delay. So he decided that, okay, he's gonna give me the referral to take them to the neurologist. And that's how I get myself in a lot of trouble. Anyways, so in the meantime, because my child, the 4-year-old, was diagnosed with ADHD, the caseworker and I was trying to see if we can get the child on medication. And so we took the child for evaluation with the psychiatrist, and she they were really concerned of the child age because they're like Medicaid wasn't gonna, gonna fill his prescription. So the caseworker were like, so what are you telling me? You guys can't prescribe the medication for this child, so this child gonna continue to go through school without understanding, without getting his name, without spelling his name and learning something in school. And you know the psychiatrist like, well, it's just the law, that's how it goes. So anyways, so we were expecting to get a prescription right then and there, but there's a process. And so the doctor came in like, I'm not sure if this is gonna work. I said to the doctor and the psychiatrist, can you all just write the paperwork that I'm supposed to use to get a court order? When we get a court order, we take, we go to the next step, but let's deal with this at a time, because I'm a person with faith and believe that things gonna happen. So I'm like, can you just please write the paperwork so that I can get it sent to the court and get a court order to get a prescription written. And she gave it to us, and within 2 weeks, the child, the medication, the within 2 weeks, the judge signed off on the paperwork so the child get a medication. It was really awesome. It was really a bit relief at the time, and Medicaid Medicaid cover that medication. And so his behavior was the same. It was still hitting, kicking, spitting. I have to like sit for hours in time out with this child same way. Even though he got, he got the medication, and it was really, and I had to be paying attention to him and his brother at the same time while three other babies there not getting enough attention. And you know it was like really hard, and this child keep trying to run away, and I have to try to keep up with him, try to pay attention to his brother, and he's hitting and he's spitting. Some Sundays Sundays tend to be the worst because Saturday and Sunday tends to be the worst because that's when they're home the most. And on Saturdays I can't get nothing done. The caseworker, whenever the caseworker can come to visit, he normally spend like a little time with them, which is really awesome. At least he can see what's going on with them, and I really appreciate that because he always there for them, and he always the person to say, okay Trish, let's see what we can do. So he was here one Saturday, and when he look at my face, he can see the exhaustion on my face and how tired I was. He get on the phone and he called and said, listen, y'all need to try and get this behavioral therapist as soon as possible because this foster mom can't even get to do nothing at all because these kids don't give her the time of the day to do nothing. And it was really hard. It was really hard. I was so tired, and sometimes I'm like, I feel like giving up. But I keep saying to myself, this child have a beautiful soul. I don't know why I keep saying this to myself. The 4-year-old, I keep saying this child have a beautiful soul. And I realized that, trying to like paying so much attention to the older brother and the 6 years old and the 4-year-old, it was so tiresome. I don't get the time to pay attention to the babies. And I realized that this child was running away for a reason. It was running away because he wasn't getting enough attention, because the 4-year-old was getting all the attention because I had to sit in timeouts with him. I have to be anywhere he at. I have to be there with him because no one don't even I d- no one don't even want to like, you know. I was really scared to ask anyone to stay with them because by 2 or 3 minutes, I know they're gonna like, listen, I'm tired, I gotta go. And that's how bad it was with all these kids. So I was wondering what's going on with the older brother, and I said to the caseworker one night before I went to bed, can we can we let the older brother go and see the psychiatrist too? He was like, but there's nothing wrong with him. He's okay. I'm like, listen, they have Medicaid, they have insurance. Why not just throw everything at them? You know, insurance, I like throw everything at him and see something must turn up. So he like then for me that thought he would disagree with me, but I woke up to a text in the morning and say, hey, let's go ahead and schedule a meeting with a psychiatrist for him. And when we took that child to the psychiatrist, I realized that the ways this child is behaving, this child is seeking attention. This child love to be with kids of his age, and he loved to be the person to be alone, like having his own space. And I decide then and there, I'm like, I don't have I don't have that to offer to this child, and if you don't get this, he gonna keep behaving like this. Cause at one point, you know, and it was really bad for the other kids. Because at one point at one point he ran away, and the police got involved. But it wasn't a bad situation. It was that it was just running around the place for no reason. And a lady saw him and called the police, and the police took him back to us because we were at the school when it happened. And my husband went to pick up the kids, and the incident happened. And my husband called me. I was like doing my job, you know, because I have my own tax practice and bookkeeping. So I was doing my job, and I have to left my job and go to the school. Yeah, and it was really, I don't know, but I went to the school, and we were there waiting, and then the police arrived with him. And the first thing the police said that this child is well taken care of, he's not dirty, and he doesn't have any mark on him, so he haven't been abused or anything. And there's something that clicked right then and there when I saw the other four kids in the truck crying when they saw the police. They were screaming, crying because they thought the police came to took me away. And they were screaming hysterically. They were like, mommy, mommy, no, mommy, no, don't go. And I'm like, I feel so sorry for those babies because I don't know what happened to them in the past, but they were traumatized when they saw the police. Those kids, I have to like reassure them. I was like, listen, mommy coming home, mommy coming home. I'm not going with the police, okay? I'm like, okay, mommy. And they start screaming. They didn't stop crying until they got home. I realized that I was actually coming home. And I had to make a decision there where really I have to let them know that, listen, this child needs special attention, and I don't have it to offer him. He needs his own space, and I have that to offer him. And if you don't get this, he ain't gonna change. I really didn't want to let him go. It hurts, it really hurts really bad because I made a promise to him that this is where he's gonna live forever and ever, and I broke my promise to this child, and it hurt really bad. It hurts. You know what really hurt bad when it was the day came for him to leave, and he said to me, "If I've known I was gonna leave, I would have behaved myself." And he said, "When I get better, can I come back?" I said, "Sure, you can come back." But the good thing about it though, he's not far from his siblings. And he's with a beautiful family. And the last time I heard, they were like gonna adopt him. So that's really good. And so after he left, I got more time to start focus back on the four other kids that left in my house. So I I took these kids to a neurologist now, and I was explaining to a neurologist all my observation, and with all my observation, the neurologist started looking into these things. So the neurologist gave me like a couple of referrals. So the kids were like, they have to do MRI, audiology, they have to do physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and play therapy. They have to do, one of the girls had to do sleep apnea tests, and that's when things get really crazy because at the time I was in the process of getting these kids in the fiddler program as well, because I realized, I realized that my 4-year-old was trying to get in the fiddler program. For some reason, it was I heard that it was like it was not, it was denied because he didn't fit the program. I'm like, oh, this child don't fit the program. I'm like, listen, I need a second time around with this child. I need to rescreen. I want to rescreen on this child. So the neurologist gave me a paper to a paperwork, and I took it to Fiddler, and I'm like, explain to them like this child has some learning difficulties and so on, and he need help. And I'm like, can you? I know that the age group is. I know he passed the age group, but I'm asking. He's just turned 5 years old, and he really, he did the test before he was denied. I don't see why this child was denied because it is impossible. Because he have all the criteria to fit in this program. So we did a screening, and thank God they accept him. My hardest time with my 4-year-old boy was that on Sundays when we're supposed to go to church, and this child would keep, this child would just fight. I had to sit like 1 hour sometime Friday on Sunday morning just to calm him down. Like just sit 1 hour in spit, kick, and fist. We take the kids to the audiologist, the audiologist, and they did a ears check on the child, on both kids, I should say, and there was something kind of wrong with these kids, with the girls' ears, and I took the others give me a referral. No, the others said that I need to go to the others said I need to go to the pediatrician to get a referral to take them to the ENT to check their ears out because they have fluid in their ears. So I went to the pediatrician. Pediatrician examined their ears. I'm like, oh, there's nothing wrong with their ears. It's just wax, and I can give it something to just clean it out. And I look at the pediatrician and said, please, I'm asking you. There's something wrong with these kids' ears. Please, I'm asking you. Can you just write me the referral, take them to the ENT? So the pediatrician was able to write me the referral, and that's the thing with me though. When I believe said that something is wrong, I'm gonna push for it until I prove it's not. There's nothing wrong. So that's the type of person I am. So the pediatrician gave me the referral for the ENT. I was like, so my husband had to take the girls into the ENT. At the same time, during the ENT, I had to take my 4-year-old child to Fiddler, and the other two kids will tag along with either me or my husband sometimes. And when we took the two girls to the ENT, we learned that they have fluid in both ears, and the ENT explained to us that, like, when you're talking to them, it's just like they're hearing like they're underneath the water. So I'm like, you see, I know there's something wrong with these kids, and I know there was something wrong with them. I know they weren't hearing properly, and I like, okay, so let's get this fixed. So before that, before the NT visit though, we went to Fiddler with one of the girl, the 3-year-old girl, and because we were trying to get her into Fiddler for speech, and the speech pathologist said that we should look at her tongue. And when we look at her tongue was really tongue tied, which was really tied badly. That's why she was saying anana, and when you ask her to say something, she would get really upset and start throwing tantrum because she can't say. She's trying to say it, but she cannot say, so she just get mad and start throwing tantrum. So I'm like, okay, I see now. So that was one thing we had to talk to the ENT about. So during the process now, well, the ENT when we had the ENT, we my husband showed the ENT our tongue, and the ENT said, okay, we're gonna snip her tongue and do their ears on the same day. And it was a smooth sailing process because my caseworker is like, listen, I'll get it done. So court order was like within few days, which is awesome, and my judge was really awesome. So it was hard to find an agency that provide in-home therapy sessions, and so we had to like take them to the children hospital where I could have get everything done in one place, all different type of therapy, because my 2-year-old was getting physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. My 4-year-old was getting my 4-year-old was getting my 4-year-old was getting speech. My 4-year-old was getting speech therapy and occupational therapy, and my 3-year-old was getting speech therapy. But things have turned out a little better for the girls, and since they get the tube in their hair, and the 3-year-old girl get her tongue snip, and everything. It was really hard taking those kids in the morning to therapy because my husband had to left work and take them to therapy, and when my husband is not available, I have to take all 4 kids there. But remember, it's only the 3 siblings need in doing the therapy session because my first child that I adopted didn't have much problem. So that's a really plus, and his case was one of the easiest case. So if you didn't watch part one of Journey, my foster and adoption journey, please go watch it. You understand about the 4th kid, that why I don't mention him so much in this video. So anyways, there were like sometimes where appointments cross, where my 2-year-old girl had to do early step, and my 3-year-old girl had to go back to Fiddler, because Fiddler is like a process. It's like 3 processes, and it's like always early morning, like 8 o'clock. my husband have to take. We had to split the kids them in half. I took two, my husband took two. My husband took two to early step, even though it's one child getting the evaluation. I had to took two to Fischler, even though it's only one child getting the evaluation. And it was really crazy because I was so tired. I was so tired. My husband was so tired at times. No matter how much makeup I put on, people can see that I'm really tired. It's like I have the world on my shoulder. That's the look I was walking around with. That's and no matter what I do to get rid of that look, because I don't get much sleep either. I was like sleep deprivation. I was deprived from sleep because the 4-year-old boy, he would get up at night and making a lot of noise for no reason at all. He was making like a lot of noise, keep making noise like crazy, like he was like making a lot of noise. And after like, can you please just stay quiet? So he wake up from like 10 o'clock in the night and he started making a lot of noise. At one point, like few nights back to back, at one point I have to be like this, like actually praying to this child, like, please, I'm begging you, please go to sleep, please. I'm like, people, I'm not exaggerating, this is real. And I was like, please, I actually went down on my knees and I'm like, please, can you just stay quiet, don't wake up the other kids, please. That child went to sleep 4 o'clock in the morning and he's back up at 6 o'clock. And I'm like, oh my God. And it was really, really, really hard. I was tired almost every day because these kids have so many therapy sessions, so many evaluation. It was like, it seems like it would never stop. So thank God my 4-year was able to get into the behavioral program, and the behavioral therapist, they were having so much problem with him. And it was, they were having so many problems, so much problem with him. He was behaving the same way. And we learned that it was behaving like this because he doesn't know how to write his name. And he doesn't know how to write his name. And he's scared to talk. He didn't have any confidence in himself because he used to have his older brother, like, shut him down every time he tried to say something. And so that's one of the reasons why he was throwing so many tantrums and behaving like that, because when you like trying to do something and it seems really hard, you tend to like throw away stuff and so on. So that's why he was behaving like that. But by going to church, day, night, by going to church on a regular basis, he tends to start to move from negativities and to the positive side. Listen, I cry for this child. I cry because I don't know what to do and I want to keep him. And he is so, I don't know what to say, but it was hard. This was one of the hardest case ever. And I'm actually new to the foster system. It haven't been like 5 months good since I've been a foster parent. But this was my choice, my husband and I, my choice, our choice. This was our choice. And I already, gave up on the older brother. So I'm like, I'm not giving up on these kids, the other three. So I still fight. And with the 2 year old, the 2 year old child, 2 year old girl, she was at this point where she couldn't she couldn't get up by herself. Like when you like when she wanted to get up, she would stretch her hand up and ask her sister, like, up, up. And I I used to see this the 3 year old girl run to the 2 year old all the time to help her up. And when the 2 year old will finish eat, the 3 year old will be like wiping her mouth, getting the broom, sweeping up, wiping off her high chair. And I'm like, no, this is not right. This child, a lot of people look at it like, oh, she's helping her little sister. That's really nice. But that's not what I saw. I saw a 3 year old didn't get the chance to be, not gonna get the chance to be a child, and if she's gonna stay there and taking care of her younger sister because she believed that's her job and her duty, and she gonna like grow up too fast. And I'm like, no, this child need to learn how to be a child. So I stop her from doing all those stuff for her sister. And I start like, if the sister like up, I say, try and get up, try, get up, try. Whenever she try, I will help her up halfway. And this child couldn't stand up for too long for nothing. So like whenever I like, she get up and she would like drop back on the bed, or this child was, I don't know what was going on, but I figure more that her motor skill was like, she had poor motor skill. So I figured that was the problem. And so she was only getting like 1 hour out of physical therapy. And I'm like, that's not enough. So what I start doing for this child now, I said to her, like, like, come here. And I said, jump. Like as if I was playing a game. I'm like, jump, 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 jump. Because this child couldn't even jump off the ground. This child couldn't even run. Because as I mentioned before, she was just like shaking like this sometimes. Like this. And so when that happened now, I'm like, jump, jump, jump. All the kids will get involved, so it's look like a game. And I get up, I will get up, and I'm like, I join the game and start jump, jump, jump. Because I'm a person like this. I tends to act like a child just to meet them on the same level so that they don't feel left out or anything like that. Sometimes they were like, "Mommy, you're so funny. Mommy, you're silly." I know I'm silly, but let's go. So every time I call the 2 year old, I'm like, jump, 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 jump. She start jumping, 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 until this thing become a habit. Because every time I sat down, like, come here, jump, 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 and she start jumping, and I start jumping. The other kids start jumping. Then at times I'll let them outside, and I have them run around in the backyard. So I would normally like to the 2 year old, like, come, let's go, run, 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 run. Like, run, 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 run. And she'd be running around and running around, cutting across the field. I'm like, no, come, let's go, run, 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 run. And she keep running, running. So I keep doing like days. And the jumping is like a norm thing for us to do together. So jumping was really important because that will help build her, help her to balance herself. And gradually, she actually a good jumper now. She's a good runner. She's a good dancer. And yeah, she's still 2 years old. And she's a good singer. Yeah, she's talking now. She's like literally talking. The other day I heard her brother like, get out of my room. She was like, nope. The brother like, get out of my room. She was like, I said no. And I'm like, I was around the corner and I was like popping up. I'm like, oh my God, look at this child. She didn't have no strength to talk, not anything. And while in the process of training this child to build her motor skill, the 3 year old sister get the time to focus on herself, because after her surgery, I was able to get her to potty train. I was able to get her in panties and out of diaper. I was able to get this child potty trained. I don't have to do this no more. I don't have to like, oh no, poop with diaper, poop with toilet. No, I don't have to do that no more. And the 2 year old, she's hearing properly. And oh, I didn't mention the 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 audiologist said that if this the older one, the 3 year old girl, take like a longer time to get her hairs looked at, she would lose her hearing. And it's really sad. It's really sad. As I mentioned before in the video, these kids have been in out of foster home. What happened till it reached this level, right? What happened? What if I didn't like evaluating these kids, concerned about the small things that's going on with them? I never try to overlook what's going on with a child, because there's always something there. Just like the older child, the older guy, the older brother that left us, um even though he was like outspoken and everything, and outspoken, always smiling and playing, it was hurting. And we couldn't figure why he's doing what he's doing. And that's why I pressed the caseworker to like, hey, let's look into this, let's do something. And I really, as I mentioned before, I really thank God for this caseworker. He's awesome. And the caseworker helped me to get every service for these kids, from tutor, get the child ADHD medication, get the child into school. I didn't have no problem going through the system, because everything, the caseworker was always calling places where you're supposed to call and get stuff done. If I have a problem, you'd be like, Trish, if you like, Trisha, if you go to this place and you can't get, you just call me, let me give them help. Yeah, I'm like, okay, I will do that, because sometimes it's like it's really hard for foster mom to get you to certain things. It's really hard. And during my child going through this behavioral therapy session, one day the analyst came to my house, and the RBT, and we were it was they were like, what does this child like? And I'm like, well, he like this and he like that, and he like gospel. The RBT was like, oh my God, can you believe this? I was wondering why he asked for that song. And the RBT said that he was giving so much trouble. My 4 year old was giving so much trouble at school. She couldn't, it was hard to control him. And he just, for some reason, he just snapped out of it and like, can you play me mommy favorite song? She like, what is mommy favorite song? She said, Give Me You. The song is like, give me you, everything else can wait. Give me you, hope I'm not too late. So, he 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 loved that song. Every time they get in the truck, they were like, play me Give Me You. And the thing is that, as I mentioned before, I always tend to like get involved in stuff that the kids are doing. So I'll be in there singing and like rocking, like, singing rocking to the tune and everything. And the RBT was so amused by this child asking for a gospel. And I was surprised too he really asked for it, because that's the last thing in my head, he's gonna ask for a gospel song to calm him down. So what the RBT start doing now is, whenever she wanted to get calm, they will play him a gospel. My child, that's 4-year-old child, if you want him calm at all, just play a gospel for him. Now he have his own, he he gravitate to Give Me You, the song, for a long while until now he actually fall in love with a song for himself. Like, I'm standing here only because you made a way. But you made a way. You made a way. And I'm standing here only because you made a way. And up until now, I'm still wondering why you love that song. That song is by Travis Green, and I love that song. And whenever he's singing it, he's singing it, he have the expression. It's just like, I don't know if that song meant something deep down inside, but if you listen to the words, you made a way, and I'm standing here only because you made a way. It's really meant a lot. So my 4-year-old went from punching me, kicking me, spitting on me, to singing gospel. I don't even think that was even possible. I don't, I, to be honest, I don't even think that even possible. My 2-year-old, she danced because I do dance exercise, so she would dance with me. My 2-year-old girl danced with me as well. I remember the 2-year-old girl, she couldn't balance herself for nothing, and now she was able to run, jump, balance herself. She can sing ABC, she can sing nursery rhymes, she can tell you what she want to eat. She can tell you, I like your dress, mommy, I like your shoes, mommy. I want to bathe. And guess what? She's actually potty training right now. At 2 years old, she is potty training. She's pooping in the toilet right now. That's really awesome. It is really awesome. All these kids has changed so much within 8 months. But was it worth it? At some point, I was about to give up. But my caseworker didn't know this, that my behavioral therapist, the analyst, called me. Like, she like, oh, the caseworker said I should talk to you guys, so like you're about to give up. And I'm like, no, it's not that I'm about to give up. I'm just tired. I am tired. I am really tired. I don't know, but I'm just tired. I don't know how to go on longer, but I'm not ready to give up. And the medication stopped work little by little. Because remember, my 4-year-old, he couldn't make a circle. And guess what he's doing now? He's writing all the letters in the alphabet. All the letters in the alphabet. And he can identify some of them. So the other day I did a meeting with Fiddler, and I liked them. Listen, the evaluation that we did like 4 months ago, we there is an update. This child has changed, and I don't want to like keep that evaluation as it is, because I don't want to put him into a class where he don't belong. And I always said to people, when I share my story, I said to people, if my child write a A, I get excited. When my child poo poo, I'm like, oh my god, you poo poo, you poo poo, you poo poo, you poo poo. Yeah, that's me. I always get excited. So they get excited too and want to do it. So these are the things that push them. It pushed them to do better. To do better. So my 4-year-old, he liked the excitement. So every time we write a hey, he'll say, look, mommy. I'm like, yeah, you write a hey, yeah. We start to get crazy, and all the other kids get involved and start jumping around. And I start jumping around. So we all do the we all do the pray the happy dance at times. Yeah, it's really great. Yeah, I'm like, listen, this journey, this case is we're coming from a real, really, really stressing. This case was one of the worst stressing case. But what I have to say, I'm not discouraging anyone from being a foster parent. This is to empower foster parent. If your child deserves to be fight for that child. And remember, when you are a foster parent, you have to be prepared for anything, because these kids are not just like some normal kids. These kids have been abused. These kids have been traumatized from all different aspects that we don't know about. We don't know what these kids have been through, you know. And at one point my judge looked at me and said, they said that Angel walked the hurt. But let me tell you this. You and your husband is the closest thing to an angel. What you did for these kids, I don't know how many people could have done it. But it's really true. Because I understand, when I look back into it, I said, I understand why other foster mom couldn't have done it, because it was so time consuming. It's a lot of appointments. It's a lot of therapy sessions. It's a lot. It's just a lot. And at the time I wasn't working, but I was working, trying to build my clientele, my business. I had to put my business on pause because every time I have a therapy session, we have a doctor's appointment, and by the time I'm back, I'm so tired. I'm like drained. I was like practically drained physically and mentally drained. I try to do as much as I can, because I want my husband to get enough rest, because at least he's working, he's going out to work, so he has to get most of his rest. So he's the one doing mostly the traveling. Just imagine taking 5 kids to the dentist's office, and those 5 kids actually tearing down the dentist's office. Imagine taking 5 kids to the pediatrician, and those 5 kids crawling over the ground, climbing on the walls. When you talk to one, you're getting hit and spit at. And I keep saying to myself, this child has a beautiful soul. And it turned out he have a beautiful soul. He has a beautiful soul. This child loved to sing. He loved to dance. He loved his kisses. And he like, Mommy, I love you. I'm wondering why he so gravitated to me. I'm wondering because I didn't give up on him. But the other 2 kids, the other 2 siblings, they're too young to understand all of what's going on. So, and they are striving. They are striving. They are so brilliant right now. They're so smart. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing now. The 3-year-old stopped acting as if I'm acting like a mother for the 2-year-old girl. And after now I allow her to do things for her sister, because it's just light stuff, like help her open a bottle or help her with her doll. Yeah, that's okay. But when I see a 3-year-old child trying to wipe a child mouth, cleaning their stuff and everything, I'm like, no, that's not right. That's just not right. This child is acting like a mother figure. So it is really important to have a support team behind you, and I'll be talking about my support system. in my next video. But I want you all to understand it is really important to play a role in these kids' life, because at first, when things get really hard on me, I was like, the system failing these kids, the system failing. But when I realized it's society overall is failing these kids, society overall is failing this kid. Because when my older child, the one I had before, went to school, he went through a lot, and only thing when he came home, like, this happened, that happened, they treat me like it's because I'm a foster child. Right now, I got my kids in a private daycare, and he go up to 4th grade, and I was trying to, like, if I could get my 4-year-old, he's actually 5 now, and into that daycare. And my husband, like, mentioned something to the director, and the director, like, no, there are other kindergarten out there, you understand? When things happen in school, even though it was another child who caused the problem, they pointed on the foster kids. And it's really hard for them already going through their trauma and getting labeled at school. Oh, he's a foster child, so he's the bad one. He's the one who started the problem. So we need to start pointing fingers. I've learned that because I was like, oh, the system. But I realized overall, these kids are being failed by society. Really, they've been failed by society. So, and as I mentioned in part 1 of my video, is that fight the good fight, go to court, speak up for these kids, because I speak up for mine, and whatever I got what I want for them, because I was able to speak up for them. Remember, a caseworker only spend a few minutes, or a doctor only spend 5 minutes, because it's always the next patient. Dentist spend only 5 minutes. A therapist only spend probably an hour or 2, but you spend most of the time with your kid, and you know what's going on. So if you can, like, provide a case so that the judge can understand where you're coming from, probably the judge might, see to it that you get help with the child. But there are a lot of service out there for these kids, and if you don't seek help for these kids, if you keep overlooking the small little stuff and don't seek help for these kids, they're not going to get better. Because look, my kids been to 4 to 5 homes, and I was the one who fixed their problem, because I didn't take it lightly. The little small things, the shaking, I tell the child to do something, she do the opposite, and like, oh, she just not understanding. No, I didn't take it lightly. I evaluate the child myself, and my 4-year-old, I asked for a psych evaluation for him because I didn't like what I saw. And these kids are functioning properly right now. They are. I tell anyone this. The little step they are taking right now, I feel I'm so proud of them. The little, just a little step, if they even just make a stick to draw that B, I'm excited, because they're coming from nowhere to somewhere, from not writing 0 to writing, to draw a stick properly to make the B. If that's not the case, because you can't write the entire letter of the alphabet. My 2-year-old, she's awesome. She's awesome, and she don't turn 3 yet. Things that happen within 8 months. It is awesome. My 3-year-old, she's talking properly now. You can understand what she's saying. She's using the bathroom. It is awesome, people. Fight for your kids. Fight for them if you can. But if you can, we understand, because it's not an easy process. It's really hard, and we don't have everyone getting the same support as I am or I used to get, because so it's making it really hard for some foster parents. But probably you can take one or two out of this video and ask your caseworker if they can get it done for you, like for tutoring for the kids, get a psych evaluation running your kids to see what's going on with this child. Because we can just like, we can only assume what's going on, but go to the right professionals. The right professionals can help. So I'm closing this video now, and I'll be posting another video next week, and this video is on my support system, because going through all of this, you all need support system. We all need family. It's not easy, so we all need all the people we can get. And so keep following all my videos, and please understand the purpose of my videos, and like and comment, subscribe, and thank you again.